Welcome, everybody, to our podcast today. This is Conscious Connections. I'm your host, Nicole Blackson. Today, we have two special guests, the married couple, husband and wife, Kenneth Davis and Theresa Thames. So we're just going to talk to them about deliberate ways that they have consciously connected with one another during this time, not only of COVID, but just in life and love in general. I'm going to get a little bit up in their business, not all up in it, but we're going to share some tea in a sense of what is good and nourishing for the soul. All right. So welcome.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Okay. I do want to mention that you both are in the wellness field. Kenneth, you're a financial coach, and I feel like you talk about financial wellness a lot. Theresa, you talk about wellness as it pertains to like the spirit. And I find that people don't sometimes see the connection, right, of the two, you know, especially when we're thinking about traditionalism when it comes to spirituality and money. So I'm pleased to see how that will unfold as we talk today.
Okay, awesome.
All right. So we ready to hop into it?
Yes.
All right. So first, I want to have you both answer, what does it mean to consciously connect?
I'll go. To be intentional about the connection, to work at it, to put effort into it, and to prioritize it.
All right, Kenneth.
For me, it's definitely understanding one another and making sure like our languages of how we speak and communicate are at the forefront, so we can definitely take in and hear and listen to what we have to say to one another for our relationship.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly. As I told you all before we started recording today, I believe that every individual wants to consciously connect with other people. Not only do they want to, but we need to, right? No one person is an island. So I'm grateful to have you all to just share with me and share with the listeners. So I want to talk a little bit more about tell me about a time when you knew that you were consciously preparing for this union.
I laughed because when we met, Ken was not interested in a relationship.
Not at all.
And I don't think I was interested in a relationship either. But we were both open to it.
Most definitely. Like, just even meeting one another was a whole ordeal for the both of us. As just to explain it a little bit, that she didn't know I was transgender. Like, I'm transgender, female to male, and I hit my 10-year anniversary yesterday, which was pretty amazing. And then I didn't know she was in the spiritual field, and usually like LGBTQ and religion does not mix whatsoever. So we both had to do like the mental math in our heads to be like, can this actually go somewhere? Like, can we actually connect? But then as like the date and the conversation gone on, like that just fell, and we just really connected on such a very different level. Like, I haven't met that type of connection in my life.
So it sounds like the connection was pretty organic for you all in the beginning, but it also sounds like, you know, you both came with some like, oh, so what does that mean? Can you tell us like some of the, I don't want to say barriers, but some of those biases that came up for you that sometimes you may have had to work through?
Yeah, definitely. We organically fell in lust with each other, had a connection, but the relationship took work. Like the work of being in a monogamous, honest, open relationship took a lot of work. And so I was divorced, so I had all these barriers up. I was clear that I didn't want to be in a relationship again and how I wanted a relationship to go. And I was bringing all of my relationship baggage from the past into this new relationship. And so I had my like rules of like all of the things in my boxes. And yeah. And also just learning how to communicate with someone, not just talk to, but be in communication with someone on a beyond the surface, a real intimate level.
As I told you all before, I do a lot of communication, right? Facilitation with groups and trainings. But sometimes I find in my personal romantic relationships, wires are getting crossed. And I would consider myself a great communicator, right? Not because I speak well, but because I'm listening. but for whatever reason, sometimes they just get crossed or there's a butting of heads. So what was your trial and error? Was there a butting of heads sometimes? Was it just a shutdown? What was happening?
Oh, I would say most definitely. Like in the beginning, it was a lot of conflict just because we were learning one another. And I feel like we were both two dominant personalities as well. And then like as Theresa tells me, like what her grandmother told her is just like, how you say it, regardless of the words that you have. So for us, I felt like it was definitely like how you say this in order. Like at first we were just being nice to one another, like tiptoeing, not really getting into it. But then like when deep conversations came up or different conflicts, that's when we would really butt heads and we would try to figure out like how to compromise or talk about it. Because in the beginning, I was not a talker. I always had like internal, I will hold it down. And then like if something just happened, I will burst and then it will all come out. And for her, she like, I don't want to speak for her, but she was definitely like, let's address it now. What's the problem? What's the solution? How can we get to it so we can stop this negativity?
Theresa, could you tell us about a time when you kind of had to pull Kenneth and be like, hey, let's talk about this now?
A funny story that we share is that when we first moved in together, it was like, let's be boot up, wake up in the morning, like, yes, lovey-dovey, we boot up. And then we were miserable. We were so miserable.
Silently miserable.
Because like we supposed to be in bed like they are on the commercials, Folgers and bedtime snuggles. But the truth was that I am up 4:30, out of the bed, out of the house, got to get moving person. And Ken is also an early morning person, but he needs like quiet and like relaxed. And so while we thought we were doing the couple thing of like doing the boot up, I was just like, if I don't get out this bed and like get going and get moving. And then one morning we just looked at each other and was like, this ain't working. And like being able to name that saved us from this like underlying resentment. So I'd be resentful, like, he just want to lay in bed. I got shit to do. Like, what are we doing? Yeah. And then he would be like, oh, am I not allowed to cuss?
You are allowed to curse.
And then he'd be like, would she stop talking to me? Like, why is she talking so much? Like, why is she like planning dinner at 4:30 in the morning? And once we were able to talk about it, it was like, I can get out of the bed, leave the house. He can have his time. I can go to the gym and we get back together at 7:00 in the morning and be booed up.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. That was kind of one of my other questions, like, what did you learn most about yourself during this connection? But I feel like you also not only learned how to communicate, but you learned what you need. What was your natural rhythm? Because I think the idea is that when you partner with somebody, it's like, clearly we get along. Clearly we like each other. We like doing the same thing. It's like, no, we were doing a lot of that because we just wanted to get to know each other, exactly. But we know each other now. I like you. I accept you, but I accept that you could do that by yourself sometimes and I can do my thing over here. What have you also learned about just the concept of love, like what that means? And if you could kind of pinpoint a time where you can kind of say like, wow, I thought love was this, and I am realizing, moreover, that it's actually this.
Yeah, most definitely. For me, especially, I'm a triple Libra, so like I vibe off of partnerships. Like I need to be in partnerships to be my best, and with the love that it happened for me, that moment within time, is like as we were like starting to date one another, and I remember saying like, oh, I love these type of cookie sandwiches from like Trader Joe's. And as we were just talking about it, and then like later she went out to work or something like that, and she came back home and she bought the cookie sandwiches without me mentioning it. And I was just like, oh my God, like she knows me, like that's love. Because even before our relationship, I was in like 3 to 4 heavily toxic relationships. So even when it arises to conflict between us and her just being mature and able to talk it out with me, I didn't know that was possible. I thought conflict was just fight until somebody gives out. But I never knew that route of just having healthy conflict resolution and having that communication for the both of us.
Theresa, you want to chime in?
I live into the trope of being an independent Black woman. I have my own, I am independent, I have my career, I have my degrees, and go, 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 go. And a lot of that was walls and barriers to true intimacy. And so the hard work that I had to do was trust Ken with my growing edges, with my soft spaces, to trust that he could really hold me and not have to pretend to be the independent, strong Black woman. And so the dynamics in our relationship, people totally don't understand of, I believe that especially Black people, we need soft landing spaces. And so I'm able to do all the things in my career, and I get to travel, and then I get to come home to somebody who like sees me and truly holds space for me. And in the beginning, I pushed against that because it was just too good to be true. And leaning into it and trusting it.
Yeah, that's one of my affirmations. Nothing is too good to be true or too good for you. Because I do find that we recognize our own patterns and we create that normalcy. So we think that normalcy equals healthy, right? So the alternative is not possible. But if we start to just align with the possibility of things, like naturally, it'll come to us. So I like that you're able to, one, pinpoint that word independence, right? Because what does that mean for a person who thrives off a partnership, right? True. Like, how does that look? So with those differences, what is the most memorable thing that you learned from each other?
It's a really good question. I feel like there's just so many moments, but I feel for us when it was definitely like couples therapy and suggesting that for the both of us, because I've been in couples therapy in the last relationship, and then that's when I learned like a lot of it about myself. But then for us, I felt like that was just on a whole nother level, because like the last relationship, I didn't try as much. I didn't want to, because I felt like it was a dead end. But then seeing this possibility, like you just said, like I knew we were a great match. Like I know like this can go very far and be together for like years. So for me, that motivated me to like put my all, put my best into it, and just go for it and see like what we can yield as a family together.
Yeah. Theresa?
No, I'll definitely say the game changer was indeed couples therapy. And the one thing that I love about Ken is that I don't have to be small. I don't have to play small. I don't have to play these roles, like these gender roles or these societal roles or these roles that our families think we should play. And we do the hard work. Like Ken has a therapist. I have a therapist. There's like a lot of people in our relationship. We do intentional work around it. And it's work that's an investment in our thriving that I just didn't know would be available. Truly, truly available.
Yeah. I went to a gala last night, Black Men Heal. So their very mission is to provide therapy for Black men, right? And they had a slogan, vulnerability is a new sexy. Shout out to them. I feel like what you all are sharing is very much indicative of that. Like, vulnerability is a new sexy, you know. So thank you for that. I want to kind of touch upon, I know you both said y'all entered really not wanting a relationship, right? And knowing that you come from different backgrounds. When did you consciously co-create a vision for your relationship, or did you not? And just say, let's just take it day by day.
For me, I would say like both. I just knew once after that first initial date, that's when my mind like started turning. And then I had that internal conflict because I was like, you know what? I'm done with love. I don't want to be in a relationship. This is like dumb. And then like I meet her, and then I'm just like starting to think like she stays on my mind. And I'm like, how is she still like staying on my mind? And we have like all this, like we have like great banter back and forth. So it's just like the text messages and like going back and forth, and like she would make me smile, or like I'll be laughing out loud. And it's like my brother looking at me, because I was living with my brother at the time, we were roommates, and he's like, what's getting you so happy? And I'm just like, it's this woman I met. And for me, it was just like, yeah, that visionary. I knew something can come from it.
What did you picture? Paint the picture for us.
Definitely being one, definitely like being a power couple of just knowing like she has her own stuff. I have my own stuff. Like we don't have to be codependent. We don't have to be needy on one another. We each respect each other's boundaries once we learn what they are. And then what I love about Theresa is that she always challenges me because like she said, she has her own stuff. She's moving. And it's like for me, I definitely want to keep up and build that and make more momentum, because even like within our vows, I told her like never play small. I want to see how far you can go, how big you can go, like shine that light. And that's what I was envisioning for myself and for her to definitely always encourage that, because it's a great piece of her, because she's just a beautiful person all around.
You getting brownie points.
What Ken brought to me was just a beautiful family, and understanding of family, just deconstructing narratives. I have on the surface all of these things in place, and one time when we were first dating, Ken FaceTimed me and he was like, "Why are there no pictures on the wall in your house? Like, why is your house so empty
and bare?"
And it was because like I traveled so much, and it was this, what I realized later on, like this escape. Like I sleep here, I do not live here. And what Ken brought to my life was this expansive idea of home and rest. Of you can live in your home. Just beautiful family, not perfect, but beautiful family, and creating again like soft landing spaces in this narrative. And again, like I had to fight against this narrative of like I don't need you, and also I'd never been in a queer relationship before, and so even just language and identity and deconstructing identity and being open to love. Like I was just open to love. And so I hated the holidays so much. I had a lot of just trauma and pain around the holidays. And like just from the beginning, like just making everything so beautiful. And so now I used to avoid coming home. Like I would just work all the time. And now it's like, I cannot wait to get home. When I had to go back to the office to work when quarantine was over, I was so damn sad. I was like, I miss being home with my husband and my dog and the home we've created. And the last thing I'll say, I could go on and on, was that we decided very early on that our home would be sanctuary, that we wouldn't fight each other, that we would always sleep in the same bed, even if we were upset with each other, that we would just like work through it. And it's easy to say, and when it's tough, it's hard to do, but just setting that out, the vision of it was like our home will be a safe space for us. And that's what we've done.
Yeah, I think that much like what we learn from our family, our parents, right? It's like the soundboard, the foundation of how we interact with everybody else. So as we become adults, I feel like not only are we taking that experience, but whatever we are experiencing at home with our partner, our children, pets, all of those things, like that's like setting us out and sending us out into the world. So it's so important to have an intentional like home environment. I'm much like you. I like quiet. I can get up and talk, but I want to be in the bathroom by myself. When I say this was a real life discussion / argument just the other morning, I don't want kids no. Figure it out. Wait till I come out. There's another adult out here. There's another pseudo adult and your sister. No. Did you answer the door? No, I did not. Because I'm relieving myself, and that's important to me. I'm watching a video. Like, I'm doing what I need to do to set my day up. And I will not apologize for that. That is a clear boundary. So I think that when you merge two people, right, you meet in adulthood. You've already had partners before. And then if you merge not only two people who have been former partners before to other people, but with children, you know, a parent is used to doing things a certain way. And then here another person comes, aka me, like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I need my rest. I will not just keep going. So there will be a no. And as soon as I hear it will be a no, thank you. Is the house on fire? Are you dying? No, thank you. But no, thank you. So for me, I know that I've made it very intentional and purposeful in regards to saying what I need and want, because there was a time where I felt like I didn't say that
Yeah.
because I was used to doing, being the provider. It sounds like you all never had a space where it got so bad that you separated, because I know you said you made a kind of vow to stay in the same bed every night. So is that a fair assessment to say you all never separated before once you got together?
Yeah, when we got together, we never really seperated, but...
I was gonna say, I know
Go ahead.
Nope, you do it.
No, go ahead.
Nope. All right, so definitely as like we were first, like after the first date, whatever, we're just hanging, chilling out. We had a second date, third, but like I said, I had that internal conflict within it. And then like one date, like we were just not vibing or clashing. So I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. Like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm good. I want to leave. And then she's just like, okay, bye. And then like a week later, I was just like, oh, but we can still be friends, right? And she's like, yeah, sure. So then like week goes by, I don't hear from her. 2 weeks don't go by, I don't hear from her. And then she hits me up like, oh, I heard you and your brother on the podcast. And then I go in like, this is what you care about. Like we said we were going to be friends.
Oh, you and your feelings.
I was so in my feelings. Like I didn't even understand that, but I was so in my feelings. And then even after that, having that conversation, then I just realized like she definitely made an impact and has an effect on me because I'm in my feelings right now.
Right.
So then we definitely did separate. And then I believe like around her birthday, I came back and I was just like, I'm sorry. Like, let's try to talk this out. Let's work this out. Like, I want you, and I want to see where we can take this. I definitely want to be with you as well. So let's come back together.
Teresa, did you make it hard?
I'm a Scorpio. So once
I got stories about that. All right.
Like turn it off.
If the camera just goes dark for a minute on my side, it's because I'm going through things. I told you I've been through things. I am going through things. What day?
Monday, the 15th.
The 15th.
Okay. My dad's birthday was November 10th.
Oh, wow.
All right. So you're close to, but you're not the same. So that's good. I'm still going through things though right now, but continue, please.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say too, I travel a lot. I traveled a lot for my job out of the country, long stretches of time. And that time away, we would use it as sort of like reflecting points. And so we'd gotten into a really, really hard part in our relationship. And I was in the Middle East. And it was just sort of like, when I get back to the country, either we're like solving this or it's not going to work. And that's when I came back and we were both just sort of like, Ken was clear about the work that he wanted to do, like go into therapy. I was clear about the work that I needed to do. And so that's when we just got our whole team together. Like he got a therapist. I got like hooked up with my therapist. We got a couples therapist. And what we didn't know then that we know now is that we were getting ready to go into like such a hard emotional season. That was October 2019. That Christmas Eve, my mom died. And then like COVID happened. And so if we hadn't done that work at that time, which seemed like so chaotic, of October 2019, we would not have made it through the pandemic. Like we wouldn't have made it.
Yeah.
So we had all those things in place so that when the rest of life just took such a downward turn, our foundation was established.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, we think about children, right? It takes a whole village to raise a child. What about holding a couple together, right? So the fact that you all consciously like created those connections, those relationships to really cultivate love for yourselves, I love it. I like it because I'm also an officiant, right? So there are times when I speak to the guests, you are chosen to be here. That means when they're having a difficult time, you're one of the ones that's supposed to encourage. You're one of the ones that's supposed to accept, right, and bring peace. So I think it's wonderful that you all said we're going to do our individual work and our collective work together. I think that's so necessary. And furthermore, shout out to Black people in therapy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, during the quarantine, I also got some spiritual counseling as well. And it was very beneficial. It was very beneficial. I went from looking at there's a trajectory of looking at things as the victim, looking at things as it is, and looking at things as I am. right? So really taking more of an empowering stance on what am I bringing to it. If I'm waking up with an attitude from last night, why am I expecting her, to be all chipper or whatever that is for me at the moment? So really being intentional about what am I bringing to the experience already. So that was really good for me. And I never was a person that looked down upon therapy, but I never felt like I needed it. I felt like, because I observe myself, I answer my own questions, I'll sit and reflect, I do all that. I don't really need to talk to somebody else. But it was so insightful, and it helped me to soften up in a way that I want to, but I felt like I didn't have the space to. And I think a part of me felt like certain people didn't deserve that either, because I already felt like I was giving so much. With that being said, I want to talk about what are some of the patterns that you all released to consciously create this connection. I know we talked about the independence. I know we talked about just the traveling. And we also talked about how conflict was looked at as something negative, but then focus on something as an opportunity. Is there something else that you knew you had a pattern of doing that was getting in the way that you said, I can no longer do this?
Yeah. For me, it's, I thought I was taking the high road. So I'd be like, such and such is wrong. And cut off my emotions. I will dead it. And I am a professional compartmentalizer.
Scorpio.
Yeah.
True.
I can compartmentalize emotions. And what couples therapy and what Ken would say to me is just you're shutting down, talk about it. And I had to trust that our relationship could hold the weight of whatever the thing was. And so me just cutting it off was a way of me just shutting down the conversation, walking away from it, which works in so many other environments, but it doesn't work with the person that I needed to be most vulnerable with. And so once I realized that pattern, and can call me out on it all the time, then I would be like, we say something in our house, we say, cover this with Grace gravy. We have to say
works.
really hard stuff. But it allows us to say if we truly love each other, I should be able to trust you with this heavy thing too.
That's the title of y'all episode.
Grace gravy.
That's it right there. That's the title of y'all episode.
No.
So, even going back to therapy real quick, I just want to disclose that when we had that emotional season, I was fully depressed because then it was so bad that I had to seek out help. And then that's when I learned I have bipolar type 1 disorder. So when you say releasing patterns, for me, I couldn't even see the patterns that I was doing. Sometimes I thought everything was great and good. And then she'll come to me saying she said, and things are not great and good. So for me, learning how to talk to one another, because I would never talk. I would just leave and I would shut people out of my life and be like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't need to do this anymore. I'm on my own. I don't need this person. But then I still remember when we got our first dog and we had an argument, we were going through it. And I was just you know what? I'm out. And she literally says well, what about the dog? And I'm just damn, that's right. I just can't be leaving like this no more. And then even my brother, I would talk to him about the situation. He's you're building a family.
Right.
You can't walk out on your family. That's not good. You need to be with the person that you say you love that can hold space for you. And like I said, and I still love her for today, because even when I found out my diagnosis, I was is she still going to love me? And she opened, with open arms, she embraced me and loved me and took me for who I am and what I'm doing and how I'm building myself back up. And then that's where the real motivation came in, yo. And it hit me yo, you have a family, you want to build a family, then you got to do the work in order to make this family grow and be there. To be there for her and just not stop walking out and running when things get difficult.
Yeah, it sounds like you both were experiencing some avoidance. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Were you shutting down and you just I am physically leaving. Yeah, I will physically leave too. Yeah, I'll be okay. All right. So, and I definitely feel that once you are building a family, it's not just you, it's not just y'all too. There are other people involved, so you owe it to them who you called to be your family. to work it out, you know. And if it does come to that decision, then it can't be done like this. This is not it, you know. So I definitely overstand that part of just staying still. My spiritual advisor was like, can you take space in the same space? I can go on the deck. I can go on the deck, or I can go in the basement and say, do not come down here.
Yes.
You know, so there are different things that I learned during quarantine, just about myself. Like, I really am a person that can do a lot of independent things, but I do love partnership.
Yes.
So me going to the movies by myself, going out to eat, that's normal if I want to do it. But when you're in a relationship and you know that you're doing it, because it's like, I'm upset right now. I don't want to be around you. You know, you got to talk through that. You have to talk through that, because it can build that resentment we talked about before. Yeah. So in regards to where you have seen yourself grow as a couple, what are you most proud of? What was your proudest moment?
For me, it's definitely our marriage. Like, getting married that time in during COVID and in quarantine, because I always told myself, like, I'm only going to get married once. I'm only going one shot and then I'm done. I don't care. And so for me, knowing that, like, I took the time out to, like, propose to her, like, that was, like, instilling, like, yes, she's the one. And then now in front of, like, our friends and family, and like committing and having the vows to let her know, like, I'm here forever. Like, I always got your back no matter what. It's you and I against the world. And I always say that so she understands, like, how deep that love is that I have for her. So that's for me, our proudest moment is definitely, like, being married and being together.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Oh.
We got engaged in 2019, and then the pandemic happened. We had, like, the best pandemic wedding.
Yes.
I'm so thankful we got married during the pandemic, because it took away all of the bullshit. Like, we're in the business of weddings, and there's like the florist and the DJ and the venue and all that. And in the pandemic, it was like, you can only have 25 people. It has to be outside. And we chose to get married like 2 weeks before we got married.
Yes.
So we were going to have like this big wedding. And we were like, let's push the date back. We pushed the date back. And then it was like October 20. We have no idea what's going to happen by then. So we were like, let's get married in 2 weeks. We give people 2 weeks. They be here, not be here.
Yeah.
And we got married in the middle of a park on a Wednesday at 10 a.m. in the morning with 25 people who love us to life.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to work. Like, we catered our own food. Like, Ken's best friend's wife played the violin. It was just us and our people. And it was the most audacious. Like, there was all these trans laws going on. Like, there was all these killing of Black people in the middle of a pandemic. And, like, we had, like, amazing love in the middle of it. And so, yeah, it was the best decision
ever.
Nice. I think a lot of people got an opportunity to reset, right, during the pandemic, but also to redefine like their own values. Because I think a lot of people went in with these expectations. This year is going to be like this, and we're going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And the world was like, yeah, you're not. And people really had to figure out what was the new, you know, what's the new normal. What's a normal day for you all as a couple?
Her waking up like 4:30 a.m., me waking up around like 5:30. She's up like on the Peloton, since we got the Peloton so she can work at home to be safer. For me, is waking up, reading, meditating, and then if she has the time, we'll try to eat breakfast together, like even during the quarantine. Like, we were on both different levels. Thank God we had 2 levels, so we wouldn't see each other. But then, like, on breakfast, lunch and dinner, we would make the effort to like come sit down, eat, and converse. So if she has the time, we'll eat breakfast together, and then she's out the door off to work, and then I'm home working as well, and then with the dog. And then basically, like, what I love about her, she'll send this text saying pulse check. And so that, like, or she'll ask, like, how's your heart? And we ask that to one another. So we know if she's having a long day, then I'm the one who's going to put up the effort to, like, do pulse checks more for her. And then she sees if I'm having, like, something coming up, like workshops or whatever, she'll pulse check or be like, how's your heart? And those small little acts of check-ins yields so much. Like just
that's a
taking
conscious
that
connection moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if I have a long day, especially a really long day, he'll text me like, "Have you eaten? How's your heart?" And just like someone who cares for me. We both have jobs where it's a lot of performance, and not like in a bad way, but like you were on all day, and so he'll be like, "Have you eaten? How's your heart?" We'll do that check in, and then we enjoy cooking together. So being at home, cooking together, being with the dog. We just end our days together. Like we have this routine of like eating dinner, talking, and like being in bed. And so our lives are very simple, but also extraordinary.
Most definitely.
It's like extraordinarily. Like, it's like, how in the hell did we end up here?
How do we get to this point? For us, it's just like, we're just talking like it's about to be our 5th Christmas. And it's just like number 5. Or like my niece turned 9 and she was with my niece when she was like 4. And I forgot that. And I'm just like, damn, like we've really been together for like half of a decade. And even though, like, of course, the goal is to like hit 30 years, 40 years marriage, but just even recognizing that and just seeing like how far we had to come in order to get to this place is just like, damn, like, yo, we did that.
Yeah. And then to say it was during the time of COVID, all the racial reckoning that was being like televised, it's always been there, but we're seeing it on social media, on TV.
Yes.
The losses, you know, that you've all felt, the experiences that you all had, like just learning about yourself during these past 5 years is like, wow, we made it through all of that.
Yes.
You know, not just the time, but all of that.
Yeah. The other thing I want to add too is we had to set a lot of boundaries. And not bad boundaries, but narrating our relationship for the people in our lives. And so Ken's family is very, very close. And like, what does it mean? Like, Ken married to my dad that's a little bit older. I married somebody that was a little bit younger. Our friends. And so it was not just us doing our relationship, but we firmly believe it. Like you teach people how to treat you. You keep the boundaries. And so it was a lot of that in the beginning. And now it's like our people would like move hell and high water for us. But in the beginning, it was like, what is this? What's going on? And just as you said, like family is not just the two of us. It's like the whole, everyone. And so Ken's mom is one of 4 sisters. And so like navigating the sisters and the aunties and the family and the cousins. And
was it like what you doing for the holiday? You be like, I gotta talk to my mom. And then your mom talk to her sisters.
Actually, no. Like my mom will impose herself. Like she's a Virgo on top of that. So that's just number 1. Number 2 is like, oh, you're going to do this with us. So like even like quick example, like our 4th Christmas, we're like, all right, we're not going to host anything. It's just going to be us together.
It was COVID.
So we're just like, bet it's about to be great. Just us and the dog. Then like 8 o'clock in the morning, get a phone call like, oh my God, my power went out. Like what's happening and everything like this. And then knowing like she keeps saying all these negative things to like, for me just to say, hey, Ma, you just want to come over. And then Teresa's like, just invite her. And I'm just like, do you want to come up? Oh my God, thank you. Like, great. So, but then on top of that, then her sister came, then my brother came, and then our other aunt came. So then we ended up hosting like Christmas for the whole family. And then even my brother staying till New Year's on top of that. So like that whole week, we thought we were going to have to ourselves and enjoy. Now my whole family imposed themselves on us.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll add, is it shows the depth and breadth of our tribe, our people, is that one year we hosted 17 people at our house.
Wow.
And it was like my friends from undergrad, college, Ken's mom and sisters and cousins and niece. And we had like all these people at our house, and it was like, these are our people. So it's just so beautiful to be held. But we had to do a lot of like, my girlfriends were like, girl, what you doing? It's like, I met this guy. And like his family, like, so like moving to New Jersey from New York is like moving to Timbuktu.
Yeah.
So I was just like, why are these people, like, he is an hour and a half away. Like, but it's been so like to create this in our own space, in our own house. And so that's that's our life.
Yeah, I want to rewind a little bit back to boundary setting, right? Because I find that that is difficult for some people to do. Because, like I said, we create our own normalcy, and if it's not normal to create boundaries, to say no, or even to explain yourself, and really identify what you need and want, how did you do that with your family members and your friends? Like, what was it? Do you remember a time where it's like, no, I need to set so and so straight, and I'm gonna have this talk right now?
Yeah. Oh.
Yo.
Ken's family
Back to my family.
is everyone in my family has died. So we don't have a lot of like my family stuff. Like everyone has died. It's just myself and my nephew. So Ken's family is, the nuclear, and it's great. And also they're so used to not having boundaries and being like all in the business and everything all the time, that when Ken really started, so what we knew was like our relationship comes first.
Yes.
Like we were just clear, like our relationship comes first, and they don't have to understand why we do what we do. We're just doing what we do. We don't need to always have to tell people the why behind the what. But enacting that, like the family text messages and the hanging up the phone and the not speaking and not talking.
And it even like the example of the wedding, like my mom was trying to impose herself so hard, like to even the point where she was just like, I'll just spend the night like after y'all get married. And it's just like, what? I'm like, no, like that's not happening. Then she'll just be like, well, you gotta invite such and such. And we're like, well, there's only 25 people. We choose who we're going to invite.
Right.
So that's just giving you an example of how imposing my mother can be in us, like building those boundaries, because it's like, if you say no to her, and since she's the baby, she got everything she wanted, and she'll have temper tantrums, like literal temper tantrums, where I understand where I get my temper from. So it's just like, telling her no is like one of the scariest and worst things you can ever do to my mother. But just learning like, no, my wife comes first.
Right.
I'm in a new family now. Like I have new priorities. You're not the priority anymore. Regardless, like I still love you.
Right.
But you're going to have to fall back now. Like it's not the same life. We're not little like we used to be, where we were scared to say no and she'll do whatever she wants. So just like doing that. And I love how like Theresa navigates my mother. Because for me, it's just like, her temper matches my temper, and whoever like holds out the longest will win. But for Theresa's like, that's so toxic and unhealthy that I didn't realize that. So how I love like how she navigates my mother. Like it's amazing. So it just makes our life so much easier.
You have to tell us. Everybody's trying to navigate in-laws all around the world. You have to tell these people what
secrets.
to do.
Yes.
For me, it's kindness. The being like, I hear you, and we're so happy you want to come, and we're so happy you want to spend this time with us. And the best way you can support us is X, Y, and Z. And so not to automatically push back. And I'm from Mississippi, so it's like, let me
Got that Southern charm.
Yes.
And I know we're mentioning like, I know the last thing I'll say about, and it's not just about Ken's mom, but it's like when life gets hard, like from cancer to putting boundaries around cancer. Even when my mom died, and before my mom died, we went down to Mississippi when my mom got sick. Like having boundaries around how much money you give family, or how long people can stay at your house, or what information we share about our relationship with family or friends. Like we're clear, like everybody doesn't get everything in our relationship because, you done moved on and they're still holding a grudge about something that you all have moved on about. So we were just really intentional around having, not letting people get too involved in our lives. And it takes some balancing. It really does. And repetitive, like over and over.
Yep. No matter the age, setting boundaries, sometimes you have to say over and over.
Yes.
Whether it's in a child or adult, they forgot, you got a little lax one day because it was Sunday. And then on Monday, they try to do it again. And you're like, no, that was just Sunday.
Yeah. Hold the line.
Right.
Hold the line.
So I've enjoyed my time with you all. I do want to just kind of share one little thing. I know you talked about holidays were hard for you. And I know that you have 5 Christmases. We're getting into the holiday season. So what are some of your traditions that we can share with the folks about things that you've cultivated as a couple during the holidays?
So for us, one is definitely like just getting the tree. Like that became a huge thing for the both of us. Like picking out a tree, learning how to decorate it, like put some our personalities into it, like seeing it glow. Like she loves adding so many lights to it that it just like it's the brightest thing in the world. Like when you're coming downstairs, gotta have sunglasses, but like that's how deep it is. Then our Santa hats, like I have Papa on mine. She has sweet tea or like Mama on it. We even got one for the dog too. Like so, just doing those things and just like surprising each other with gifts. Like we call ourselves gift ninjas because like out of nowhere, like for example, like just last week, like I'll sneak out and I'll put like a love note in her car. Like when she's leaving, then she'll find it and she's like, oh my God, thank you. Like I can't believe it. Or then like if I'm going somewhere like leaving and I'll look in my travel bag when I get there and I'll see like a note or like candy because I love candy. And it's just like those little things that we do together are just like means the world to us.
Yeah. So you talked, Theresa, before about not eating meat. So what does the cuisine look like on holidays?
I'm pescatarian and can't so we cook all the things.
Okay.
And like we worked it out.
She has her food. Like,
I have my food. Kenneth has his food. His mom comes, his aunties, like they all cook all the things. I will say, this is a really busy work time for me. Between now and Christmas Day, like there's just back to back work time, and so I'm not a micromanager. So his mom, these are grown women, the mom and the aunties. So I let them come and do their thing, and I just sit back. Let them have control and sit back. But the one thing that we do have is like amazing intimacy and cuddles and talking. And we love this cuddle weather and like slow dancing in the living room or doing karaoke. And so making time to date each other.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't touch upon this much, but you mentioned your work. I kind of want to talk about like how does that factor into your connection with one another? Like I said, Ken, I know you do a lot of financial wellness. Theresa, I know you do wellness overall, some coaching as well. So how does your perspective purposes like really come about in your relationships?
That's a good one. I would definitely say like, since I always say like finances is the most vulnerable thing you can actually talk about, and how even like with a quick stat, like 90% of marriages fail due to finances. Just us having that conversation together, one another sitting down. Because even for me, who's a financial wellness coach, and what I tell, like, it's difficult sometimes. Like you really have to go through it and really be present and still take in what like she has to say or what I have to say, and then like just combine that together, because then it's just like after, and like she said, the intimacy. So after we shared something that's very difficult for us, the intimacy grows and it strengthens us. So I kind of love that part, doing that.
I say we're able to do this really well because it's who we are. It's not just what we do. So I'm not just a coach, pastor, theologian on the gram or in person. Like that's who I am in my life. Like Ken is a teacher and a financial coach because like that's just who he is. And so when it's time to talk about insurance elections or bank accounts or anything like that, it's like it's a natural extension of who we are. And so we're just being who we are. And we just get to do it in real life.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you all for being who you are individually and together with us. I've enjoyed our time together. So I was definitely just looking on the outside through the gram. Right. Theresa, I wasn't following your page. But I was like, oh, let me follow Theresa too. Right. So it's nice to see you both up and close and personal and just have this space. I think it's so necessary. So I have taken some notes. I got some things in my back pocket that I'm going to start later. Then I'm going to use it for really when I want to,
level up.
Yeah. So I'm going to put the mic back to you all. Is there anything that you would like to tell people about consciously connecting with one another in a romantic space, with your partner, with your spouse, your intended, however you want to say it? What do you want the people to know?
I say be open to love. Just be open. Maya Angelou say like choose love again and again. I would have let good love go away because it didn't look like the way I thought it would be. And good love is healing and it's restorative. And so just allow yourself to be open to love and to lean into it.
I would definitely say like if you have a spark, you gotta work at that spark so you can turn it into a fire, a strong fire that can actually grow. It's not like you can just only rely on chemistry. Like, a lot of people just be like, oh yeah, if we don't have chemistry, then it's done. Or if our chemistry runs out, then it's done. And it's just like, no, you gotta continually work at that spark and building it and making sure it's growing and tending to it, stepping up and be able to like attend to it as well. Like, it takes a lot for it, but if you really love that person, the work is worth it, because then, you, like, from a financial perspective, like, you'll yield so much more than what you put in as the investment for itself. So always just make sure you're working at as much as you can.
Yeah, there you have it. Conscious Connections. That's a wrap.